distribute to local residents. Are you seeing a lot of sandbags out and about there in Crystal River?
Yeah, there are a lot of businesses that have surrounded themselves with sandbags, and it depends on how low-lying you are. If you go out to the Gulf Tow Beach, that's all the way out at the Gulf, you will see that that's already been inundated with water. There are standing areas around here that have water in them, so just because of the rain that we've got so far, we're already seeing a little bit of that ponding on the street level. We're very low-lying here, but as you go even further into Kings Bay, you do have areas that are protected, so they move some of those boats, some of the craft boats from here all the way inside there, so they've got a little bit more protection, but still, that storm surge is going to push through.
Yep. Well, we're going to get caught up with you here in a little bit. Of course, we're all anticipating that first light to pop up over the horizon. Dave Knockoff, thank you so much for being there and for giving us live reports. All right, we have crews still stretched all across Florida. We'll catch in with a lot of them throughout the morning. I want to give you your rainfall forecast because we showed you what we've seen. I mean, just in a 12-hour period since, last night. Once again, there's been a big bullseye south of Tampa and Sarasota where they just got absolutely crushed with 4 to 6 plus inches of rainfall. With that being said, we still have a good chunk of rain to come for folks around Crystal River, Cedar Key, for you folks up just to the north. Even into Jacksonville, there's going to be pockets of 3 to 5 here. We have a pretty large flooding footprint, and I think with this storm system is really going to be, one of the things they're going to be remembered by is because of the amount of rain that it is bringing to a mostly saturated state because of the season we're in, and, that's going to extend far past the Sunshine State. So watching the projection of this, the slow movement of the system, again, moving north, I believe around 12 miles per hour. By midday today, it should be on land. The outer bands causing problems all the way down for folks maybe around Boca Raton still and parts of Miami with some isolated activity, but the majority of it heading north of the Florida-Georgia line tonight and into tomorrow. Flood concerns for Savannah, and then, of course, that will continue its northward stretch as it stays on land but continues to spin and cause a lot of rainfall problems. So, again, we're going to see all of this really impact places outside of Florida the second half of the day today and into tomorrow. Now, Elsa's winds, they have been rolling in the Gulf of Mexico and Sarasota Bay specifically. We had a scene here at the John Ringling Causeway in Sarasota overnight. Elsa's core lurked 50 to 60 miles offshore. Elsa's winds are also pushing a 3 to 5 foot storm surge into Florida's west coast and, of course, the Big Bend. Look at the chop there. Woo. Not a day to get out on the water. We got to get through this system. Conditions will improve. So, that is, glass half full approach, I guess, if we look forward to when this thing moves out of here. But let's talk wind and let's talk surge. Gave you an idea of the precipitation and the flood threat. Of course, we've had gusts as high as, 70 miles per hour, mostly seeing the wind gusts stay in that tropical storm category below 74 miles per hour, but still. You get a 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gust on a very saturated soil with a big old tall tree, that can topple it over and cause power outages. So make sure you guys have everything prepared and charged as we work our way through the day today. Because as everything moves on shore, I think we're going to start to see, snowball problems, especially going up into some of the other states. We'll keep a very breezy day for everybody south and east of the storm. So for the rest of the peninsula, the wind will improve. It will slowly calm down, but it's still going to be breezy nonetheless with wind speeds, 20 to 25 miles per hour, not out of the question for Orlando due south. Now, the storm surge is still a big threat, especially when we see that water pushing onshore for folks around Cedar Key. Obviously, we're feeling the impacts this morning in Tampa and some of these areas to the south since the storm is basically sitting about here, and that southerly wind is now pushing that water onshore. So, still looking at that storm surge between 2 and 5 feet, depending on where you are. Basically, the entire, west coast here of Florida from the Big Bend due south, just outside of Naples, has got the best wind surge potential of up to 5 feet. And that's above normally dry ground. You put your toes right on the water's edge, and boom, now you're talking about up to your shoulder's height with that water pushing onshore. So coastal flooding, obviously that's another big, potential for today. So, of course, the wind speeds, specific, especially if you're talking about coastal flooding and the storm surge specifically. But if you're outside of that, if you're in some of these interior zones, Augusta, Waycross, and Savannah, it does look like the winds really going to be impacting you tonight, second half of the day today, into tomorrow as it pushes northward. And that's basically the idea on that one. So, what I want to show you is on your screen right now. We're going to show you some live tower cams. A live look at 3 cities, okay? And all of you are going to feel Elsa's punch today. You got Orlando, right? You you guys are under a tornado watch until 8 o'clock this morning. Even without the spin-ups, we're talking those winds that I showed you, and Elsa's squalls, they could gust 50 to 60 this morning. I think by the second half, it'll improve for you folks around Orlando. Now, Elsa's heavy rain bands will expand into northern Florida, Jacksonville, as the morning progresses. You're just about to see the rain in Jacksonville if you haven't seen any so far this morning. Now, Savannah and the coast of Georgia and up into South Carolina, you guys should feel Elsa's impacts this afternoon. All right, and so it could be maybe a Wednesday evening into Thursday morning timing for you. So I want to get outside of Tampa and show you some of these either interior zones or areas to the north. Your forecast, once again, talking about the wind threat for folks basically north of the Florida-Georgia line. Still going to be a problem. Even Raleigh is going to get into the wind coverage, all right? You got to remember, the center of the storm itself, we talk about that, we focus on that and the cone of where it's going to be. But remember, those tropical storm force winds can extend, roughly 70 miles from the center of the storm system. So that's why we have a good swath of power being felt for all these areas. Of course, Norfolk being on that eastern side of things, so you guys can really feel the wind as we head into, overnight tonight and into tomorrow. I guess here, looking at your timestamp, we go all the way into Thursday evening now, and we're still getting cranked out in the Outer Banks with that southerly wind. So, I think as we move forward, for folks who haven't necessarily done any planning yet, you want to get your outdoor furniture, pull it into your home. Maybe a good idea is just to get up on the roof, make sure your gutters are clear, because we know a lot of rain is coming with that wind. Now, the headlines on Elsa, and of course, what we know right now, let's get to those. So here's what you guys need to know. We've got the Coast Guard that is searching for at least 9 people missing in the waters about 20 miles south of Key West. Tampa International Airport tentatively plans to resume operations at 10 o'clock this morning once a damage assessment is completed. Elsa's winds pausing search operations at a collapsed condo in Surfside, Florida for a time Tuesday, as another 8 bodies were pulled from the rubble there. And Georgia's governor has issued a state of emergency for 92 counties as Elsa approaches. So those are the big headlines. And of course, we still have several folks and a team of meteorologists and reporters out on the scene here, giving you guys firsthand experience of what Tropical Storm Elsa is like. And of course, Dave Malkoff is in Cedar Key, Florida. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. We've still got the storm well out to our south and west here in Cedar Key, which is protected by Kings Bay. A lot of people preparing for this storm. It could potentially make landfall around this area a little later this morning as a tropical storm. It has been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm again. So we are looking at the potential of not just a lot of rain, but a lot of wind and storm surge coming through here. So don't kind of think that since it's a tropical storm that it's not a threat. They have seen many of these come through this area and dump a ton of water on this area right here. Now, let me just give you a look at where we are. This is the Crystal River that pushes out into the Gulf, and that is protecting us because we've got Kings Bay that kind of pushes into the interior of Florida here. But all that water does come up the river, and a lot of people are now moving their boats from this area in Crystal River into the interior of Kings Bay so they can protect themselves. But we've also seen the opposite of that. We've seen people having the obligatory hurricane parties here and people even trying to ride this out on their houseboats where they stay, and that is their home. So they've docked for the night, and they are going to ride this out right here in Crystal River. We've got live team coverage right here on the Weather Channel, and we'll be back right after this.